If you look out at a quiet forest or watch a turtle gliding silently through a pond, it's really easy to just assume, well, they don't have vocal cords like ours, so they must be acting on pure silent instinct, right? Well, get ready because we are completely flipping that script today. We've assumed for centuries that the natural world is basically muted, except for, some bird song or a lion roaring. But science is in the middle of this massive paradigm shift. So let's jump right into this explainer because we're about to challenge literally everything you thought you knew about animal communication. Here is the crux of the issue. Human hearing is incredibly narrow. We only pick up frequencies between 20 hertz and 20 kilohertz, and that's it. But right outside that tiny little window, there are these massive infrasonic and ultrasonic symphonies happening around us constantly, every single second of the day. The natural world is actually talking loudly, broadcasting these super complex messages across the air, the water, the soil. It's not a silent world at all. We've just been entirely deaf to it.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with the hidden voices of nature, then we'll look at turtles talking in the egg, dive into the elephant warning system, explore bat songs and local dialects, and wrap up by totally rethinking animal culture.
Okay, starting with part one, the hidden voices of nature. So, how are we finally hearing all this? Well, scientists got a massive assist from digital bioacoustics. We're talking about tiny, hypersensitive microphones planted everywhere from the bottom of the ocean to the freezing Arctic. It's kind of like humanity finally built a planetary-scale hearing aid to eavesdrop on all those frequencies we naturally miss. And the data pouring in, it's literally rewriting biology. The old belief was simple. Animals run on hardwired instincts and keep quiet. But the new reality we're seeing on these recordings is that animals have incredibly complex vocabularies. They've got regional dialects and, get this, intentional cultures. It's like the natural world has its own buzzing internet. They're naming each other, sharing critical info, and coordinating massive group efforts. Which brings us perfectly to part two, turtles talking in the egg. Let's head down to the water, or more specifically, the sand right next to it, to check out aquatic turtles. Now, for the longest time, reptiles were considered pretty low on the intelligence totem pole, and turtles, supposedly totally mute. But then, a researcher named Camila Ferrara stuck some microphones directly inside their nests, and she recorded a staggering 189 distinct, unique vocalizations. But wait, here is the absolute wildest part. She didn't record adult turtles. She picked up these sounds from the embryos, before the eggs had even hatched. These unborn babies were literally chatting with each other from inside their individual shells. No way, right? So why on earth do unborn turtles need to talk? It turns out it's a genius survival strategy. By communicating inside the egg, these siblings actually synchronize their development. They let each other know, hey, I'm ready, which lets them coordinate this massive, perfectly timed hatching event. By erupting out of the sand at the exact same moment, they completely overwhelm predators. It's basically a highly coordinated acoustic military operation, completely organized by unborn babies. Absolutely wild. Moving right along to part three, the elephant warning system. Let's completely shift gears from tiny turtle chirps to the deep, rumbling vibrations of the African savanna. Elephants communicate using infrasonic rumbles. These are sounds so deep we literally can't hear them, but they travel for miles through the ground, letting entire herds coordinate over massive distances. And to figure out just how precise this hidden language actually is, researchers Joseph Soltis and Lucy King ran a really fascinating experiment. They played the sound of angry bees to an elephant herd. Now, bees might seem like no big deal to us, but for an elephant, they're terrifying. A swarm of bees can sting the super sensitive insides of an elephant's trunk, which is a huge problem. And you've got to see how the elephants reacted. When they heard those bees, they didn't just freak out and scatter randomly, not at all. They fled fast, they vigorously shook their heads to swat away the insects, and they let out a highly specific bee warning rumble. Then, to test this further, the researchers played the voices of human tribesmen, people who sometimes have conflicts with the elephants. The elephants still moved away, sure, but they didn't shake their heads this time. Instead, they emitted a totally different, distinct human warning rumble. So they aren't just making generic panic noises. They have a nuanced vocabulary. They are explicitly telling their herd exactly what kind of danger is coming. Let's look up for part four, bat songs and local dialects. Taking to the skies for our third case study, we're moving past just a survival vocabulary and getting into something that looks an awful lot like complex generational culture. We're talking about bats. Now, sure, we all know they use echolocation to fly in the dark, but their acoustic world is so much richer than just biological sonar. They actually have a massive social repertoire. Male bats sing these crazy, complex, multisyllabic songs to defend their turf and attract mates. Mothers use highly specific calls just to talk to their babies. And the pups? They actually babble while they're learning to vocalize, exactly like human babies do. They even have specific calls for distress, danger, and literally arguing over food or sleeping space. And this is where things get truly mind-blowing. Culture, if you look at the definition, is social learning transmitted across generations. Well, bat pups don't just pop out of the womb knowing exactly how to sing those intricate songs. They actually have to learn them through social imitation. They listen intently to the adult males in their specific colony, and they actively practice those exact acoustic structures. Because these songs are learned, not just hardwired into their genetics, bat vocalizations have distinct regional dialects. It's like moving from New York to Texas. And just like human languages, these bat dialects shift, evolve, and adapt over time. If a bat moves to a completely new colony, it usually learns the local dialect just to fit in. Scientists point out that this kind of cultural transmission requires some serious social awareness. They call it Machiavellian intelligence, the ability to navigate really complex social networks. Until recently, we thought that was something pretty much exclusive to primates. Finally, Part 5, Rethinking Animal Culture. So, whether we're talking about aquatic turtles coordinating their own births, elephants calling out specific threats across miles of savanna, or bats passing down regional slang across generations, the evidence is undeniable. We really have to shatter this human-centric illusion of the world. We are definitely not the only species with culture, language, and complex social lives. And as Robin Wall Kimmerer, a scientist and member of the Potawatomi Nation, points out, this isn't exactly a new discovery. Indigenous knowledge has recognized for ages that animals have their own languages and cultures. Modern science, through digital bioacoustics, is really just catching up. We aren't inventing a new language here, we're translating an ancient one. And fully grasping this demands a massive shift in how we interact with the natural world. It means moving away from just exploiting these highly intelligent neighbors and actually respecting them as conscious beings. This tech is moving incredibly fast. We're already using artificial intelligence to decode these massive databases of animal audio, basically building real-time dictionaries for species like elephants and bats, which leaves us with this really profound, kind of provocative thought. We are finally learning how to listen. But if animals have their own languages and complex cultures, what exactly happens when we finally figure out how to speak back? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this completely changes the way you look at and listen to the natural world around you.